All right. Hey, everybody. Let me do a quick follow up on the Intellivision Sprint. I learned a little bit more information. I also want to share with you kind of feedback results, what the community is kind of feeling when it comes to this new console. Now, this is the Intellivision Gamer, no relation despite the same last name. And he did a video, a chat with David from Atari. So he talked with a representative from Atari, and you could see Pat Contry photobombed the video for a split second, which I found humorous. Anyways, so David from Atari shared some stuff. It's a short video. Go ahead, check it out. I'll try to link all these videos in my comments below, but I wanted to show you who did it in the title in case I forget to do that, or at least in the description. I'll put a link, I hope, if I remember. Anyway, so David basically said a few things. First of all, the system is a little bit miniaturized. He said about 80% the size of the original, but the controllers appear to be full size. And he also said that he viewed this as a first step of what Atari is doing with Intellivision. He did talk about how they know people want a cartridge slot, but this is what they could do right now. So he made it sound like a cartridge slot is not a guarantee, but a possibility for the future, and that they'll be looking at how, the market responds, and of course, feedback on it as well. So that was some interesting stuff. So the system is a little bit smaller, but the controllers seem to be regular size. This is Mike's Gaming Gala first actual look at the Intellivision Sprint. And in this video, he shared that this will be JLP compatible. So there's a lot of homebrews that use a JLP format that basically, from what I understand, it supercharges the cartridges. You could do more with Intellivision games that you can. Oh, and then this video, David did say you could side load games with a USB drive. They don't exactly say how, but apparently if you have ROMs, you can play it on this thing, which is cool. And according to Mike's Gaming Gala, yes, you can sideload games onto it. Yes, you could play the homebrew games that are popular. If you have those ROMs, somehow, some way you can play them on this system. And he also mentioned in one of his videos that this is used as the JZINT emulator, which is considered the best emulator for Intellivision. So if you were kind of snake bit by some poor emulation in the past, this should actually be pretty well emulated. When he was messing with the overlays, he flipped one around. Now on the website from Atari, they say the overlays are double-sided. I assumed that meant that there's one game on each side or something like that. But when he flipped them around, these could be prototypes, so they still could have, one game on each side. When he flipped them around, it was just one game and then a blank side. So, my question to Atari would be, will you include two overlays if someone's playing a sport game like, baseball or football, and they each want each player to have an overlay? I don't know if that will be the case or not. And he also said that Atari will be selling USB flash drive cards, basically USB drives that have games on them. Who knows if they'll have like a fancy case or something like that. No price is given. That will be crucial, I think, if those things come out. And he said 4 games, I think, on each one. I don't know if that's always going to be the case, but if those come out and there's something like, $15, $20, I could see the community being okay. If they're like $40 or $50, I don't know at that point what's going to happen. And in this previous video he did in Intellivision Sprint, he leaked out that one of these cards are going to have 4 games. Now, I'm not sure if I totally understood correctly. So Mike, if you're watching, you can clarify in the comments below. But I think he said one's going to contain homebrew versions of Yars' Revenge and Caverns of Mars that Atari purchased from the homebrew developer. So who knows? That could mean that Atari could also make cartridges of those games. I'm not familiar with those games. And they also licensed from Electronite, TNT Cowboy, and Miner 2049er. I think all 4 of those are going to be on one key card. I think that's what he's saying. So that's kind of some of the stuff I've learned about it. So that's some good stuff. But I will say that in my comment section, it seems to be a bit split. There are die-hard Intellivision fans who are already pre-ordering this thing, and I totally understand that. And that's cool. There's some people in the Intellivision community who are kind of pushing, hey, make this a success so Atari will put more money and make one with a cartridge slot. They're not saying that exactly, but that's the impression. And by the way, I'm not for that. That feels manipulative to me. My feeling has always been, if Atari makes a good product, if a company makes a good product and you think it's worth what they're charging, buy it. I don't believe in buying stuff just to prove that they should make something better. I believe if they should make something better, you should put the pressure on them by not buying poorly made products or products that don't meet your standard. I'm not saying this is going to be a poorly made product. I think it's going to be well made. But there's some people, I'm going to buy this, but here's the things that is keeping people from diving in, some people. And one is the fact that the AD&D games are not already included. There's 45 games that they listed. I covered that in my previous video, but they're not including the original AD&D, also known as Cloudy Mountain. And they're not including Treasure Tarman, also known as like Mines and Minotaur or something like that. In the past, those games were included on like the Intellivision Flashback and other compilations. They just changed the name. They took away the D&D name. Could Atari make a USB flash key card, whatever thing with these games on it and maybe even license the D&D name? Maybe they could, but I still think those games are such iconic games that they should be included. And some people agree and they're like, if that's not included, I don't want to do that. And some people think the price, $150, which is the most I can recall for one of these mini systems, plug and plays, whatever you want to call it. They used to be, when the NES Classic came out, it was like $50. And I think I can't remember how much the 2600 Plus was. And I think it was like $100 or $80 or something like that. And the Atari 400 Mini, I think was $120. And now we're at $150. And that is quite a big price, especially because of the third thing that is really kind of people don't like is that there is no cartridge slot. That to a lot of people, they want an Intellivision Plus. There's some who want an Intellivision Plus. This personally for me right now, 150 still feels a little high to me. I mean, if it was $100, I think that would definitely be more, when I'm thinking, okay, maybe I will pre-order this thing. But right now, I don't know. For my finances, some people $150 isn't anything. They don't care. And some people $150 is a lot. And I'm more in the camp where that's a lot for me and my family to invest in something like this. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it looks when it comes out and what these key cards are and how much. And, I will say it's a little surprising because, flashbacks, I forget how many games were on the original flashback, but I believe it was like 60 or something like that. I believe it was more than the 45. And flashbacks, like the Atari flashbacks at the end of their life, they had well over 100 games. And now we're going, feels like a step backwards. And to have to buy, if you have to buy games that were previously included, that feels like, I understand the homebrew stuff being separate to a degree, but I'm a little bit like, we used to get more for a lot less, but of course this is it does look like it's solid and it does look like it's going to be well made. And I didn't notice any lag when I was watching people use the controllers. Of course, I can't test it myself, even though they're wireless controllers. Oh, and they did say, that there would be an adapter that uses a DB9 connection. So if you have a controller that's DB9 that works with Intellivision, it will work with this, supposedly with the adapter. I haven't heard if that's included or if that's going to be extra. You have to pay for that. Anyways, that's some more information I found out. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you next time.